Greetings! Skill Incarnate bringing you all the latest indie gaming goodness. Welcome back as we look at another indie game. This time we're checking out House Builder 2. The House Builder series by FreeMind S.A is the gold standard of simulation games. It's the game that got me into the genre, and I still play the original House Builder and stream it to this very day. Now, I've been watching the development of the sequel with great anticipation, and while I got my hands on it and I thought that it was excellent, I have to be honest, I respect the developer too much to do otherwise. The game doesn't quite hit the balance of fun and complexity that was in the first game. I feel like they've tried to streamline and simplify the mechanics of the first game, and in doing so have lost some of the magic. Now, while this is a very good game, I'm hoping the feedback I give them will help them to steer the game back into the territory of the first, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what their thoughts are. But I'm going to show you my honest thoughts on House Builder 2. Welcome to House Builder 2. Now, before we get started, I wanted to show you a very nasty bug. One which I've found a way to get around. Now, when you load any saved game, your character is going to be doing these jumping jacks and is completely immobile. Now, this is a game-breaking bug, but I put on my software testing hat and found a very easy fix. Spamming the escape key. Boom, boom, boom. Fixed. So hopefully that does help the developers, and we will see a fix for that soon. And hopefully that helps the players to get around this so you can enjoy the game. Hopefully my check from FreeMind is in the mail. I kid. Now, I wanted to talk about some of the design changes from the first game. And the graphical style is one that I'm not a big fan of, I'm going to be honest. I preferred the more realistic graphical style of the first game. And I realise this is probably an aesthetic choice, but it feels like the graphics have taken a bit of a downgrade from the first game. And while graphics aren't a huge priority for me, it's more about the gameplay. I can't deny it is a choice I'm not a big fan of. Now, moving on to the game world, that's something I do like. Now, in the first game, you would just go to the globe, pick a location, a country, and you do your jobs, and then you go back to the world. In this type of layout, you're going to be driving around the world, you're going to be finding these collectible items, picking them up, going around talking to people, finding clients, building up your reputation, doing jobs, and of course finding and purchasing houses. So over here we have a house that we can buy. So that does return from the first game. We're going to buy a house, because why not? We've got the money. Now, some houses are fixer-uppers, but a lot of them don't require any work at all. Now, while this is a nice mechanic, it just feels inferior to the first game. I would like to be able to buy this as a fixer-upper. I'd like to do it up myself and build it. But most of the houses you buy in the current iteration are just basically, you purchase them as is and the house is already done. Now, here we've got a job for a local farmer.
Good to see you. The roof of my barn is in very poor condition. It needs to be removed and replaced with new roofing.
Okay, so this is a nice simple job. We're going to repair a barn. And I'm going to just drop some of these tools, or we'll leave them here. I'm not going to need this shovel, so we'll just drop the shovel for now. And I'm going to need these boards, so we're going to grab those and chuck them down there. Beautiful. Now, another bug I've found is if you go to the map, here is your character pin, and the pin is always facing north. So regardless of which way my vehicle or I am facing, that pin will never change. And that basically means it's a little bit hard to navigate. You kind of have to just keep opening the map to figure out where you're headed. Again, it's a very minor bug, but there's quite a few of these. And the game is in early access, like very, very early access. At the time of this video, it's not even available on Steam, so I want to try and give the developers a fair shake, but this is the time they're going to want to know about these bugs, which is why I'm going out of my way to highlight them and help out with the development process. Now, another thing that is an improvement on the first game is that you actually have to go and source your materials. You have to go to a warehouse, you have to buy what you need, and you also have to worry about transporting the materials to your job site by hand. There's no more magical pressing a button and paying some money and materials appearing from the sky or being hand delivered by people. You have to get it all yourself. And you have to make sure your car can carry them, and you have to do a little bit of stacking to get everything to fit. So we need 103 OSB boards. I'm going to buy 5 of these because we have got OSB boards at home, and we've also got some of these items, so I'm going to sell off the additional building materials we don't need. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to try and stack these very smartly in here, because I don't want to make 2 trips. I want to make 1 trip. But given how much we have to carry, I'm probably going to need to make 2. I'm going to move that truck because I keep running into that tooltip. That's why it keeps popping up all the time. Let's just move a little bit. Got 3 in here, 2 more to go. Boom. You'll notice I'm stacking them in a particular way so that they won't move when I'm driving. Let's rotate that bad boy. And just stack it. Beautiful. There we go. And then I need some boards, so I'm going to buy some boards. And I'm going to put this pallet on top to weigh these down. Now, one thing I would have really liked in the game is like a tie-down mechanic. Whoops. There we go. Would have been great to tie these down. Get a bit of rope or something. That's kind of like Construction 101. But for now, we're going to use this as a weight. Now, I'm going to have to come back for the metal roofing. I definitely can't carry any more of this, but I might be able to carry some on me. So let's, metal roofing. There we go. Ooh, okay. Now, buying that house ahead of time may have been a dumb move. I'm hoping that's going to be enough. We'll see. Kind of backed myself into a corner here by buying that house. Yep, no, we definitely don't have enough. That's okay. I'm gonna take this stuff back, and then on the way, if I find any tires, we'll pick them up. There are collectible items, beer kegs, tires, all that stuff. And by collecting them, we're going to get a bit of money, so... Rather rookie mistake I made. I saw a house that looked really nice, I purchased it. And then I didn't think about my cash flow. There's some items here we can grab. We're going to get those.
Looking sharp, pal.
Yeah, I just don't like the graphical style in the game. It does feel like a major downgrade. I feel like they could have kept the first game's visuals. Like, they were rough, but... You know, it didn't matter, because the game had a certain charm to it. My friend, you really don't want to do that. I may have to do a bit of a drive around, find some more kegs, get myself some money, because beer seems to be a very good way to earn a crust in this game. I see another beer keg under that bridge. We can head down there. Oh, there's another beer keg over there. There's a lot of beer in this game. Something I approve of. There we go. Now, I have played about 8 hours of this game, and I don't know what the purpose of buying the houses around the island are, whether it's just a place for you to sleep, but they don't seem to unlock any additional missions. So buying that house, to me, just seemed like a more of a prestige thing than something that unlocks more things for you to do. Feels like a bit of a missed opportunity. That's a beer keg over there, I reckon. Oop, I just stole that farmer's beer. Let's get out of here. There we go. I reckon that's going to be enough. We'll have enough to finish the barn. Whoop. Now, crashing into other cars and people doesn't seem to have any sort of effect. So you can drive as dangerously as you want. But now we're back on site. We have to demolish the old house, the old barn. And I'm going to show you something I'm not a fan of, and that's the way that tools have changed in this game. It feels like I'm wielding a children's toy. I'm swinging this thing. It doesn't have any sort of heft, any sort of weight. It doesn't feel like I'm using a sledgehammer. If you've ever handled a sledgehammer, you know it's not like a Fisher-Price kid's toy. It's got a lot of weight to it, and it has, like, if you're swinging it, it's going to have a real heavy sort of swing. This is not a heavy sort of swing. I'm just kind of flailing it around and things are breaking. So, yeah, it doesn't have the impact of the first game. But the reason why I'm being so honest is FreeMind in the past. I've always valued honesty. Every time I've seen a game that I'm not particularly a fan of, because I don't love all of FreeMind's games. They've made some ones that are you know, a little bit less than ideal. But every time I've been honest with them, they've always been really, really positive with feedback. So, and I think the reason why they're sending out the game to people like me is to give them an honest opinion. So that is what I'm doing. Okay, there we go. Okay, a couple little bits and bobs we have to remove. Beautiful. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is grab out our planks. We're going to chuck them up here. Just save me a bit of running. Unpack them. Now, adding planks to or any sort of building material in the game, it doesn't have the same feeling of accomplishment as the first house builder. You just kind of flail around. You throw the plank at the surface, and it automatically attaches it, drills it in, nails it in. It just doesn't feel the same as the first game. I really wish they had have kept those mechanics in from the first house builder. And I know that, you know, some people are going to say, and they're right, that there's perks that basically allow you to do exactly what I'm doing now. And I have used those perks before, but I'm one of the players who enjoyed... Whoop, I'm not going to enjoy a pair of broken legs. That I enjoyed the fact that you could turn those mechanics on and off at will. And unfortunately, you cannot do that in the second game. So, well... Some additional scaffolding on the roof would really help. I'm having to do a little bit of parkour. There's no penalty for falling, getting hurt. In the first game, you'd actually have to pay a fee if you injured yourself. That's actually something I would like in this game. There we go. Beautiful. So we're just going to jump down here, grab the boarding. So I chuck down my planks, and we're going to chuck down the OSB boards again. You just kind of throw the item at the surface and it automatically attaches it. I'm not super fond of that. I feel like the first game's approach with you actually having to use a nail gun to attach items or a screwdriver to disassemble stuff. There are tools in the game, like you can see there's shovels where you have to dig trenches, there's sledgehammers where you have to break items apart, but FreeMind are really good with their simulators. Like, I just recently played their deconstruction simulator game, and I think that game is brilliant. I think they could have used a similar sort of approach to this game. Like I said, very, very early access, so hopefully we'll see. At the time of recording, this game isn't even available on Steam, so there's still a lot of time for them to make some improvements. And you know that if they do make an improvement on this game and do a revising, I'll definitely come back and give this one another video. Okay. Now, we do need to get some roofing in, so I'm going to drop the roofing we've got. And I'm going to hope that I've got enough money to cover the last batch of 25 sheets of roofing. Or else I'm going to be running around the island looking for some money. But I really only have myself to blame. It was very short-sighted of me to purchase that house with the limited funds I had. But I wanted to show you what... I wanted to make a point about buying houses in the game. That's it doesn't really add a lot. And it doesn't have the same sense of satisfaction as the first game. And it's something I think they could fix very easily. Okay. So the last thing we have to do is we have to go and find or purchase the last 10 sheets. Don't pay attention to my vehicular manslaughter. Oh, we've gone the wrong way. That's okay. Like I said, with that little bug with the pin, it's kind of hard to tell which direction you're headed in. Also, another little bug. Watch this. If I hit this, that screaming sound was from the lawnmower. So if you hit any vehicle, including one that has nobody in it, it will scream. Another little bug for the developers. Not a big deal. but... Yep. That was 100% on me. We're going to head back. It is getting dark, so we're going to finish this job and then get some sleep. And then I think we'll have time to do one more. I was going to, when I initially was going to do this video, I was going to focus more on doing a build, because I like doing the builds rather than story missions, but in the current state,
Hey, watch it.
most of these missions, oh, there's, okay, we'll come back. We may actually do, that may be the one I do next. We may do that one next. But I want to finish this mission, because we are, by thine own hand, very broke. And that was my fault, because I went too heavy on purchasing houses and emptied out my cash flow. So let's just hope that I have enough. I do. With $11 to spare. Ouch. Okay. So that was very much my fault. Should have watched my cash flow and not gone overboard. But we've got a $2,000 payout coming from this job, so that'll hopefully fill the coffers a bit. And we can come back for our friend there and do a job. Now, I did mention sleeping before. That's something you don't actually have to do. You can just ignore sleep as far as I can tell. There's no penalty for it. Probably something they may want to implement, some sort of penalty for staying awake. Maybe you need to buy coffee or buy something to keep you going. Yup. Don't report me. I'm going to try and refrain from running people over with my car, but I can't make any promises. Okay, here we go. We got this in the bag. We've got 11 sheets left to go, so we're going to make a nice tidy profit. I hope. Well, $2,000, that's nothing to sneeze at. Missing one sheet. There we go.
Damn, man. Great job. I'm very pleased. The roof won't leak anymore. Now I can safely store things in it without worrying about rain damage.
Okay, so we've got a cool $2,000 to use. I'm going to take all this stuff because we can definitely use this in a future job or sell it off. So I'm just going to chuck these boards in the back for now. That'll do. Oh, and there's a beer. There's a couple of beers over there. I'll never say no to a beer. Okay, so let's go get some sleep. Or at least see if my new house, surely I can get some rest there. Okay, so it appears my house does not have anywhere for me to sleep. No bedroom. That's a bold strategy. We'll see how that works for him. So I guess we're not sleeping. Moving on then, shall we? We have actually got a house back on the other side of the island, but I'm going to keep going because I want to show you one more build. And we did pass a job on our way there, so we'll go and pick that one up. I hope the $2,000 I've got is enough to cover the materials. We've got a few on us, so hopefully that will cut down on cost too. But yeah, this is an incredibly fun little game. I really enjoy it. But the problem is the developers set the bar very, very high with the first game. Very high. And that's why my expectations are so high. Okay, my friend, what can I do for you?
Hello, gringo. I would like to build a beautiful house for my family, as beautiful as other houses in my home country of Mexico.
Nice, okay. So we've actually got a Mexican-style house, and most importantly, all of the materials are here. So I don't need to spend any money, and that works just fine. Okay, the only problem is, where am I digging? Oh, okay, maybe I will move my car. Oh, and we appear to have run into another problem. The car is stuck. You can push the car. Oh man, that's really stuck. Okay. There we go. Okay, I'm guessing this is where we have to dig. There we go. Yeah, so sometimes the game doesn't give you any hints. You just kind of have to work it out for yourself. And if you haven't played the first house builder, you may struggle. Like in this case, I didn't get any sort of hint telling me where I had to dig. I just got a shovel and just got told, go and dig. Which is fine, like I don't mind a challenge, but again, look at this shovel. This is not how you dig. I'm like, if we were playing a survival game, this is how I'd be using the shovel to hit things. I'm stabbing with the shovel, I'm not scooping. Like this is it's just little things, but it's a lot of little things. That's the only concern I have for right now. And especially in the first game, they did this right. So I'm almost wondering. I mean, I have to look into whether the development team has changed a bit, because it feels like a different team has worked on this. Okay, let's I can't carry anymore. We'll chuck these over here. I'm not going to need sheets of iron for this. Let's unpack. Now these are the best sort of jobs, the ones where the customer provides all the materials. But they are few and far between. Most of the time you're going to have to buy stuff yourself. So there's a bit more of a modern house. At least we're building with stone, we're building with brick, with stuff. That's what we like to see. I don't mind. I feel though that in the first game there was this theme of building throughout different time periods. You know, Egypt. You had medieval times. There was like a post-apocalyptic DLC. And I know that comparing the DLCs of the first game to this is probably a little premature, but I can't help but hope that they take a similar sort of approach with the second game. Because the first game's DLCs were really well done. Like, I'm not a big fan of DLCs. A lot of them feel like shameless cash grabs, but you cannot say FreeMind did that with the first house builder. The DLCs are actually, they weren't huge, but they were very well priced. Like, you pay $5 for a DLC and you'd be able to build some castles and build an Egyptian temple, and you get 5 or 6 hours of enjoyment for like $3 or $4 or $5. Like, it was very, very well priced. And it feels like in this game, even though there are different house styles, like there's this Mexican area over here where you build like Mexican style houses. There's a agricultural area where you build barns and and farmhouses, and there's like the modern cityscape over there where you build the skyscrapers and that. So there is different styles of houses, but it doesn't feel as varied as the first game. And I can't help but compare to the first game because it's set the bar so high. This looks like it's going to be a pretty beefy build. I was trying to make a shorter video, just to do a bit of a this is where it's at this point, but it looks like we're going to have a nice long build tonight, but not that I'm complaining. I always like to cover FreeMind's games fairly thoroughly, and that's exactly what we're going to do. Okay, starting to take shape right now. Beautiful. Yeah, just going by the materials here, this is going to be a very big house. Or a very tall house. But it's going to be pure profit for us because I don't have to pay for any materials. So I'm just going to get a flat $2,000 in my pocket for my time, which is a very, very profitable way to make some money. There's different jobs in the game. Some of them are more profitable than others, but there's no incentive to not take a job up, because when you take a job, you can earn a customer and they'll come back with reoccurring jobs. So I've got a elderly customer that I regularly fix his fence for him. Got another customer where I'm doing their lawn. Okay, got planks. Beautiful. Let's grab this. So convenient that this customer got all the materials for me. This is going to be a nice fast build too, because I don't have to worry about bolting anything into place. Just drop these bad boys. Drop these bad boys in. There we go. Although I do miss in the first game you had to measure and cut materials. So you'd have to go and cut down the tree, and then you'd have to cut the planks to size, and then you'd have to use a measuring tape and make sure everything was right. And again, there were perks that allowed you to sidestep this later on, but that was later. It wasn't something you earned straight away. So you would do that later in the game, or you could choose to not do it at all. You could turn it off. Okay, looking good, looking good. Things progressing nice and fast here. And that's the thing, like, I can see why they've gone for a streamlined sort of build. They want to appeal to people that may not like the more methodical way that you approach building in the first game. But the problem is that I'm one of the people that like the building system from the first. And while this is fun, it doesn't feel as engaging or as rewarding as the first game in regards to building stuff. So, like, I'm just holding down the mouse button and just kind of dropping bricks. Like, there's no process of measuring, of placing these, of having to use mortar. That's all automatic. Again, in the first game you could do that, but the thing was that it was something you earned. You earned the ability to sidestep those building methods later on. Whereas in this game, like, right from the beginning, you can just drop whatever materials. Like, most of the builds are very quick. There we go. I mean, we're busting through this in record time. Yeah, looking good, looking good. We're down to our last 3 pallets. I'm trying to do this methodically in layers as I go around the house to make this as fast as possible, but you can see I don't really need to do that. It's already very much streamlined, the building system. Now, one thing that's also absent in the game, something I hope they add, and it may just be because they haven't added it yet, but heavy machinery. Later on in the game, you can operate cranes, you can operate bulldozers, excavators, cement mixers, cement trucks, giant pulleys and winches in the case of some of the DLCs, and that's missing from the game, unfortunately. And something I hope that they add, because I liked the feel of using heavy machinery. Like, I like building by hand, but the opportunity in some of the levels just to, you know, cut loose and drive some heavy vehicles around, something that is sorely missing in this game. Looking good. We're getting there. It's turning into a nice build. But again, I really hope they allow me to build my own houses. You know, I like the feel of buying a house and then doing it up from scratch. Not just doing it for someone else, but like a house that I'm building myself for me. Okay, so let's drop these blocks for now. And we're going to grab... What do I need? Look at these. Where the rest? Did they only give me one? Oh, no, here. Okay. Problem was, when I parked the truck, the items that are supposed to be used for the build spawned right underneath the truck, so they went flying in all directions, so... I can only hope I've got enough boards on me. I think I've got a few spares in the truck. And that's why it's always good to keep some. When you've got spare materials, if they're ones that come from a previous job like these, look at that, there's 30 spares. We can use those. Because I don't think we've got enough in this job. Sometimes they'll provide you some, but not all of the materials. You'll have to go and buy them. Which isn't a big deal, but we just saved ourselves a bit of money. Yeah, see? I can actually take that pallet with me. Oh, no, wait, I need 62 planks. We've still got more. Okay. Never mind. Doesn't matter. Okay, so now we have to build another layer of bricks here. Now, the building experience, it's very, very satisfying, just like the first game, but it doesn't hit the same notes. That's all I'm saying. Ooh, I hope... Yeah, we've got just enough. Okay, so just drop some planks in on the side here. I could really use a scaffold right now. I can't, Oh, there we go. I can kind of jump up on the roof. Yeah, that would be why this extra pallet of wood's here. Guess we're not taking that with us. That's okay. We're going to make $2,000 from this job, so that should definitely definitely help repair my cash flow after my somewhat dumb decision, but I don't know if I call it dumb. In this economy, buying houses is pretty safe. If you're going to invest in something, investing in property is probably the smartest thing you can do. So our friend, Mr. House Builder, is going to become very, very rich eventually. Okay, so let's just get these down in place. Okay, then we need the roofing tops. We need 6 of those. Beautiful. You've just given us just enough to get this done. And then what do we need? Windows. Mexican pavement are these. There we go. A taste of Mexico. Now it is early game and I'm hoping we get more advanced builds, but I mean, when you look at the first house builder, I would build a house out of mud by literally mixing the mud tiles and constructing them myself. I would build a Egyptian temple where I'm literally cutting the stone and getting it out of a mine. All of that stuff in the first game is kind of... well, there's another visual bug. Not a big deal. Look at that. All that stuff is not really there in this game, in the sequel. And that's why I'm saying it feels like a missed opportunity. The builds just don't feel like the same level of detail. Okay, so now we have to do a bit of painting. I'm glad this is back from the first game. So we're going to get our paint out and we're going to paint the walls. Again, I don't know why my character's hands are crossed like this. It looks like he's praying, not painting a wall. I feel like I'm giving this game a hard time, but it's because I am such a big fan of the first house builder. I want this game to succeed. I really do. I want this, when it hits Steam, to have all of these issues ironed out. And when it's available, for people to pick it up with the same enthusiasm as they did the first game. Because it really came out of nowhere for me. And I had very, very low expectations of the first house builder. I did not think much of it at all when it came out. And I made my feelings known. But the developer, they won me over. They won me over because they took time, they took care. The game had a ton of updates and DLC and free updates as well. They added extra content when people were saying it was light on content. The first house builder did not release in the best of states, but they worked on it and improved it over time, and it definitely became one of my top 3 games. In fact, my top 3 simulation games are all from this developer, all from FreeMind and all from Playway. So as a publisher, we've definitely got one that they know how to do this right. So I have high hopes and maybe some unrealistically high expectations, but when you make a game as good as the first house builder, I can't help but have some high expectations. So the painting system's nice. Unfortunately, you can't pick different coats of paint. That's another thing that I think is missing from the first game. You could paint different colours and patterns. You didn't even have to paint too. You could use wallpaper. You could use different textures, all that good stuff. Something I hope they bring back. Okay, looking good. One more wall and then we're home and hosed. and hopefully $2,000 richer. I've been playing through a lot of contracts, and one of the things I will say in the game, it does make it feel very rewarding when you get to doing these house builds after you've been fixing fences and...
Gringo, now I feel right, like in home.
Oh. And there's another little visual bug sometimes when you're painting walls. For the developer, there's one more. Not great, but it's just a little visual bug. And unfortunately that won't go away until I load the game. But anyway, it feels like I've been giving this game a hard time. But the only reason I have is because I have a lot of love for this developer, for this game. And I really am looking forward for them to pick up on this game, to make some of the corrections that it needs, and hopefully to make a more engaging experience for people. Fix some of the bugs. You know, there's some bad ones there, especially loading into the game. So I'm hoping that they will fix that with time, and I hope they find this feedback useful. As I said, big fan of the developer, but I'm going to leave it here. Hopefully you enjoyed this first look at House Builder 2. By the time you see this, the game will most likely be available on Steam, and hopefully they will take some of the advice I've given in the video on board, and hopefully we'll get a more polished game. But I have very high hopes. The developer is one that I have a lot of esteem for, so I have no doubts at all they'll be able to make these corrections and turn the game around, and hopefully we'll see some more improvements, and hey, some more DLCs to make this game, round this game out with a little bit of content. So hopefully you enjoyed this. Leave me a like, leave me a subscribe, let me know what you think in the comments, and as always, hopefully you'll join me next time when we check out another indie game. Until then, Skill Incarnate, out.